all been there. You've got a beautifully painted metal miniature that you've spent painstaking hours on. You've purity sealed it to protect it against scratches, imperfections, or grubby little fingers, and hopefully you've done so on a date that's not so high in the humidity index that it instantly turns into a cloudy mess. And then, unfortunately, you happen to jostle the table that you have placed it too close to the edge, and there's that most heartbreaking of noises, blink, as it lands on the floor and shatters back into its component pieces. Or worse, you've got an expensive Forge World resin model, and whilst manhandling it gently out of your case, it fumbles, perhaps because you were distracted by a bee that was in the room, lands on the floor, and it just explodes into 1,000 pieces. Plastic models, at least, are a little bit more durable. But I recently found myself during the Morehammer podcast asking the question, how much more durable are they? So, join me today as we find out the answer to this question, using perhaps one of the most durable models produced in the last 10 years. A monopose Stormcast Eternal from the original Ageofsigmar starter set. This guy has been literally clipped out, cleaned, plugged into his base and had his shield stuck on. That is the sole thing that has happened to him. He's not been pinned, there's been no special protective measures, he's not secretly cast out of lead and then painted grey to look like a plastic miniature. He is, to all intents and purposes, an archetypal plastic Games Workshop miniature. In fact, he's actually about to be replaced by his new, narrower, thinner, twink version, Thunderstrike armour. But I thought we'd give him a send-off in style by testing just how eternal is a Stormcast Eternal. So, how are we going to test this? Well, he's going to go through a succession of increasingly difficult challenges to see whether or not he can stand up to the rigours of heavy-duty gaming. The only rule I have set myself is this. If anything breaks off him, it can be repaired, but only using a simple bottle of superglue. Anything that cannot be fixed in less than 2 minutes with a bottle of superglue ain't going back on. Let's see what happens. Okay, so first test, the drop test. Well, let's start off with a simple version. Let's pop him on a tabletop, knock him to the floor, and see what happens. Here we go.
One Stormcast Eternal, minding his own business when suddenly...
Yep, entirely unharmed. Let's try dropping him from a slightly greater height. For this stage of the drop test, I'm going to need a step ladder. Okay, so we are up at the ceiling here. Here he goes. Okay, not only is he in one piece, he landed on his feet. So far, Stormcast Eternal 2, Gravity Nil. Let's try a little bit higher. It occurred to me that up until this point, he's only landed on carpet. But most gaming halls have a harder floor, if it's wood or concrete, so I've come outdoors to test against a harder surface. Stormcast Eternal and eyeline, here we go. Not a scratch. Okay, let's get a little bit higher. Hello, and greetings from a roof. Let's see what happens if he can survive a nearly 2-story fall onto concrete. Here we go.
It's quite a long way down. Are you sure about this? Yes, I believe in you. For Sigmar!
Let's head on down and see how he did.
Okay, let's see if we can find him. And the answer is... it has, I think, dented his halo. I think that halo may have been slightly more vertical before, but that's a 2-story drop. Didn't even break the plastic glue. So far then, Gravity Nil, Stormcast 4. Let's get higher. Okay, this is as high as I can get without the use of light aircraft. High up on a 2nd-story window. Let's try. Well, there was a plink plink. Let's go downstairs and see how he did. Okay, Let's see if I can find him and what state he's in. Oh, he's landed under the shed. Let's pull him out. Oh, first signs of damage. That hammer is a little bit wonky. Yep, I think this may be super glue time. Let's see. Okay, we'll call that one gravity a half, because the rest of him looks like it's pretty okay. Bear with me, let's retire to the games room. Okay, we're back indoors, and that hammer has definitely suffered some damage. I'm going to start a 2-minute timer, and let's see if we can't fix that with a spot of super glue. I can get plastic glue would be more appropriate, but then I'd have to wait all day. Who's got time for that in the middle of a busy game? No. 2 minutes. Start the clock. Go. Okay, so first things first, I think let's reattach it at the bottom. Little dollop of super glue. Right, and that straight up. And let's give that just a minute. I will speed this up for you so you don't have to wait while I wait. Let's try fixing the top of the hammer shaft, where the head meets the... Oh, no, that's come all the way off now. That was a mistake. Okay, well, no, not a problem. Just gives me the opportunity to straighten that up. It's not as badly broken anyway. Straighten that up, glue my fingers to it slightly. But then, now, all I have to worry about is reattaching the hammer hand. There we go. Just under a minute left. Oop, I've dropped it, that does not bode well for me. Anyone who's watched my other hobbying videos will know I'm a little bit cack-handed sometimes. I'm just going to hold this here till the timer runs out. 30 seconds. It's looking pretty good. I'm not going to worry about the head being bent a little bit too much. Take that cobweb off. Okay, 2 minutes, some super glue. We're back to good. I suspect that when he undergoes the next round of tests, that is going to pop right back off again. But that's not a problem. I will try and fix it with super glue each time. I'm not going to show you me fixing it each time. Let's move on to the second test. So thus far, I would suggest gravity. Your average gaming table, a Stormcast laughs at gravity. The second problem, though, is once you've dropped your model on the floor, the first thing you do is step back to see if you can find it. That's generally the point when you feel something go crunch underfoot. So, let's test the stepping on test. I am also going to be rating this on the Lego Pain Index on the basis that the first test I'm going to do is with an unshod foot, on the basis that maybe you're playing inside and, you know, you don't mind not having your shoes on. So yeah, let's try standing on a Stormcast Eternal, see how he does. Here we go. Gonna try this not standing on the base because the base protects it a bit too much. So just the model. That is my full weight. I'm gonna go on one leg. I'm standing on one leg on this Stormcast Eternal. It feels like there's a little bit of flex. Actually, very little pain. And actually, let's check him out. Yeah, okay, an unshod foot on carpet, he does not care. The hammer even stayed on. Let's move outdoors and try a shod foot on concrete. Back outside for this test then, positioned as before. I'm not treading on the base, just the model. That is my whole weight on one leg. How is he done? Ooh, let's take him indoors. Getting a bit of a close-up here. Then the hammerhead stayed on. Most of him seems okay. The only thing I think that's taken the pressure a little bit is it looks as though just there where the back of the arm meets the shield has whitened a little bit. Now that might have affected his paint job, were he painted. But otherwise, being trodden on with a shod foot on a hardened concrete floor did not bother him. I appreciate that if I'd trodden on the base, maybe I would have popped him off his base, but I think actually, at that point, you'd notice if he was standing on the base, whereas just standing on the model, again, I don't think he cares.
Okay, so it's time to up the ante. So far, he's managed to be trodden on by me. Let's try something a little bit heavier. We've all been there. You're outdoors, enjoying a nice spot of garden hammer, perhaps in the front driveway, where, you know, you've got a nice flat surface to set a gaming table up, when all of a sudden, your child comes zooming in on their favourite pink scooter. What can you do? One of your miniatures has fallen to the floor, and before you know it, carnage is about to ensue. Let's see what happens when I run over a Stormcast on a child's scooter. Oh dear, let's see that back in slow motion. Yes, as you can see, the impact did cause some damage. Let's take a closer look.
Once again, it would seem the hammer has come off. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, oh, there's a little bit of grinding on the back shoulder pad rims. That'll scratch your paintwork. That's probably the first damage I can't fix with super glue that this guy has sustained. Let's glue the hammer back on and then try something a little bit bigger.
The weather continues to be good, and so the game of Garden Hammer continues. But oh no, what's this? It's the greatest peril from playing Warhammer in your driveway. It's a car. Can a Stormcast Eternal take being run over by a car? Well, safety first. And let's go. I think I might have run over something. Let's go find out. Oops, that's not so good. That might need a spot of super glue. All right then, same 2-minute timer. Go. First, let's get his shield back on, because that's the most obvious damage to the model itself. Again, that looks more to have been a failure of the plastic glue than it does the model. Let's give that a good 30 seconds to stick back into place, and then we'll worry about his hammer and his base. While that's drying, let's take a look at the base. Might have clipped it with the car just a little bit. Let's just see if we can't fix this fracture line here. Yeah, that'll buff out. It has sheared off the plastic peg that was in place, that was holding it through into the base. So that's a little bit of an issue. And once again, that pesky hammer has come off. Time's up, and I will confess, he's suffered a little bit of damage from the car. But the crack in his base aside, 2 minutes with a bottle of super glue, he is back on his feet and ready to continue doing battle. Show you behind where the rubber met the road, shall we say, or the plastic met the road in this case. He has suffered a little bit of grinding damage. But overall, for something that's had the 2-ton vehicle drive over him, he's looking pretty good. Perhaps one reforging and he'll be back on his way to rend Sigmar's enemies. Okay. Okay, so he's made it through the first 2 tests. Can he pass, though, the third and final test, the percussive test? Join me outside to find out. We're back outside in the sunshine at my spray station for the final test of this challenge, the percussive test.
Let's see what happens when I drop a brick on him. As you can see, the GoPro has been set up to give you, hopefully, a model's eye view of what's about to happen. Turn him round so he can see what's coming. Maybe he can't see what's coming for him. 1 brick, 1 model. Here we go. That was a crunch. But I think, to be honest, the base took most of the impact there. His hammerhead has just gone. Like, I have no idea where that has gone. But the model itself, aside from where it's sheared off the base, is pretty good. Let's see that in slow motion. Here we go. Okay, so at this point I could just happily glue the shield back on. I didn't even really let the glue dry. But I'm going to test one final challenge on this Stormcast.
Okay, I've reattached his shield because I think he deserves at least some level of protection from what's about to happen. Given that this is a Warhammer miniature, it seems like the only appropriate way in which to test the final level of indestructibility of a Stormcast Eternal is with a Warhammer. Or in this case, my trusty axe hammer, made for me by some blacksmith friends as a wedding present to my lovely wife and I. It's a replica of the Sutton Hoo axe hammer, visible in the British Museum. It's got a hefty axe blade on one side, a nice, solid, percussive hammerhead on the back. Let's see how a Stormcast Eternal stands up to some medieval weaponry. Here we go, final challenge. GoPro's recording. Let's let him have it.
The shield took the blunt of the blow, but I fear that his leg may be broken. Nonetheless, I am staggered by the survival elements of these plastic models. Again, I think, yeah, he may have lost a touch of detail on the back there, but I do not believe how much this Stormcast has been through. Taking a closer look, it seems as though he actually made a dent in the wood underneath, whilst sustaining some of his battle damage. I'm going to have a hunt for his shield and then we'll move back into the games room.
Well, there you have it. The Stormcast truly are eternal, or at least bloody tough. I have a great deal of respect for these old Liberator models. Just to give you some context to this video, here is how the Liberator model finished the day. You can see his base has had it, his hammerhead is missing. There has been some deformation of the plastic. In contrast, whilst I was filming this, I happened to, I'm not making this up, I happened to knock a composite metal and plastic model off of the tabletop, and instantly landing on carpet, the same drop that the Stormcast performed in our very first test, his head just sheared straight off. He's gonna need a bottle of super glue, hopefully no paint touch-ups. I am staggered by how much this Stormcast has survived. I mean, at this point, he's probably only fit for the bin. Except, I am so thrilled by how much he's gone through that I am going to gift him a new base. I've got some spares in my box. I can't fix the hammerhead, but I can at the very least reattach his shield with super glue, following the rules of the game. and I'm going to paint him up and I'll share him over on the Morehammer Discord and on my Twitter feed and Instagram in the very near future. I think he deserves a worthy place as a truly battle-damaged warrior of the Stormcast Eternals to say farewell to the big-shouldered Stormcast before their new twink Thunderstrike models come on in. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I know it was a bit silly, but I enjoyed doing it. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Thank you very much for watching. If you've not already subscribed, if you could do me a favour, just click on that subscribe button. I'm here every week. I'm also over on the Morehammer podcast. Make sure you subscribe there as well to catch our antics. And as ever, I will catch you next time. Bye for now.